Judas Iscariot went to the chief priest and asked him, "What can you give me if I hand him over to you?" But before then, Jesus already knew that Judas will betray him, the same way Jesus knew that Peter will deny him before the cock crows 3 times that same night. But before we proceed into the story, take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this video so that this story will reach to the right people. If you're watching right now, type "God is good" and tell us where you're watching from. So let's dive into the story.
It was a quiet night in a place called Garden of Gethsemane. The moon was shining softly through the olive trees. Jesus Christ walked slowly into the garden with his disciples, but his heart was heavy. He knew something terrible was about to happen. Jesus told his disciples, "Please stay here and pray." Then he walked a little farther into the darkness. He fell on his knees and began to pray. "Father," he said with deep sorrow, "if it is possible, take this suffering away from me. But not my will, let your will be done." Tears filled his eyes. The night was silent. The weight of the whole world seemed to rest on his shoulders. Suddenly, the quiet garden was filled with noise. Torches were burning in the darkness. Footsteps were coming closer. A group of soldiers entered the garden. They were led by one of Jesus' own disciples, Judas Iscariot. Judas walked toward Jesus, then he kissed him on the cheek. That kiss was the sign for the soldiers. Immediately they grabbed Jesus and arrested him. The disciples were afraid. They ran away into the night. Jesus stood alone. The soldiers took Jesus to the rulers of the city. They accused him of many things. They mocked him. They slapped his face. They shouted at him. But Jesus did not fight back. He remained silent. Later, they took him to the Roman governor, Pontius Pilate. Pilate could see that Jesus had done nothing wrong, but the angry crowd kept shouting louder and louder, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate felt pressure from the crowd. Finally, he gave the order. Jesus would be crucified. The soldiers took Jesus away. They placed a crown made of sharp thorns on his head. Blood slowly ran down his face. They laughed at him. They hit him. Then they placed a heavy wooden cross on his shoulders. Jesus was forced to carry the cross through the streets. People watched from the sides of the road. Some cried. Some shouted insults. Jesus was weak from pain and loss of blood. Many times he fell to the ground, but the soldiers forced him to stand again. Step by step, he carried the cross to a hill called Golgotha. This place was known as the Place of the Skull. When they arrived, the soldiers threw Jesus onto the cross. They drove large nails through his hands. They drove nails through his feet. Then they lifted the cross high into the air. Jesus hung there in terrible pain. The sky slowly grew dark. The wind grew strong. Jesus struggled to breathe. Then he cried out loudly, "It is finished." After those words, he bowed his head and he died. At that moment, the earth shook. The ground trembled. The people were filled with fear. A Roman soldier standing nearby looked at Jesus and said, "Surely this was the Son of God."